Hi, welcome everyone to another session of Human Manual. There are manuals for every machine in this world except the most powerful machine, and that is the human machine. The most beautiful machine is our human machine. Let's take a little peek into that machine today. Let's take a peek and see how the human machine works. Hi, welcome everyone to another session of Human Manual. Today we're going to talk about a very important subject, fear. We all are familiar with fear. We all have some kind of fear. We all have a baggage of fear that we brought up as a child. A lot of us fake it when we are in a company of other people, like to show we don't have this emotion. We do not have. But guess what? We all have different levels of fear. Let us not deny. If anyone tells you that he is not fearful, he is lying. Given the situation, all those bold claimers, all those people that you see who make those bold claims about facing danger, guess what? When they face reality, when you see them in real circumstances, they're just like you and I. All of us have different levels of fear. So let's understand, what is fear? Fear is basically nothing but an emotion. Fear is false evidence appearing real. It's a threat of facing danger, harm, injury, pain. All these are threats that make us fearful. We need to understand it. The more knowledge you have about fear, the less fearful you will be, the less power it will have over you. It is a very important emotion. It is very important for all of us to be fearful. God gives us these different tools. Like fear is an emotion, anger is another emotion. What are they? They are basically tools. Just like we have a hammer, a screwdriver, what do we use those? Those are tools to fix our furniture or fix certain machines. If we didn't have the fear, we would probably go and jump in the fire, right? There's a reason why we have these different emotions. When we use fire to cook, so what does it do? That fire, which is, a very dangerous and very harmful thing, but guess what? When we use it to cook, don't we need fire for so many other things? It is so helpful. So similarly, a fire can burn you. It is all a matter of how we use these emotions. All the emotions are for our own benefit. Fear as an emotion is good for us, provided we use it properly. Most of us have grown up to not use that emotion properly. Fear is simply because you're not living in the now. You're not living in the present. So when you're not living in the present, when you're living in the mind, what does that mean? That means fear is not real, right? It's just an imaginary. It is just an illusion. It is just something that you are conceptually visualizing. You need to come back down to earth and live in the present. One of the major reasons of why we are fearful is some of the things that you encountered as a child remain with you. If it caused you any pain or any harm, you will not do that again. You have carried that burden of fear ever since your childhood. I know a friend of mine, and he would not like to come to my house. If he comes to my house, he's so fearful because we have a little pug. My wife just loves dog. But even if he comes to my house, he will go nowhere near the dog. And without even me knowing his background, I asked him, Dinesh, were you bitten by a dog when you were young? And he said, yes, Sammy, I was bitten by a dog when I was young. So guess what? Those childhood fears have carried along with him throughout his life. Some of us have fallen off on a motorbike, from a bicycle, from different modes of transportation. And guess what? A lot of them will not ride a bike because they fell off a bike. Unless and until you go back and dissect some of those pains. In order for anything in life, if you need to get over some things in life, you need to have knowledge, you need to have awareness, you need to know. Most of us do not even know why we are fearful of dogs. They've probably forgotten that they were bitten, and that's why. So the only way you can get rid of the fear is really go and pet those dogs. Start loving the dogs. Doing the things you fear will help eliminate those fears. When you fall off a bike, all you do is hurt yourself a little. But can you imagine for those Wright brothers and for all those initial inventors, of all those people who risked their life to invent those airplanes and know that there are chances of them not coming out alive? Can you imagine all those astronauts that reach the moon? I mean, the amount of fear. I mean, they don't know what stepping on the moon is going to be, right? They don't know what the atmosphere on the moon is going to be. They don't know. It was the first time they ever left the Earth atmosphere. Those weightlessness, all those scientists and all those people that risk to make our life better, was it not for them, was it not for the risk and their bold action, how they must have built their state of mind to come over that emotion of fear. You know, an airplane today is the most trusted mode of transportation. There are less chances of you dying and an accident from an airplane than it is from other modes of transportation. There are bigger chances of you being hit on the street than flying. Look at the odds, right? I mean, all because we have gotten ourselves conditioned to the safety of flights, thanks to all the people that have gotten us to the stage of making airplanes so safe that we do not even think that there's a risk. So if you have a fear, and if you're afraid of a dog bite, or if you're afraid of other small things, so you can just imagine the other end of these people, how bold and how they got themselves conditioned to that. Many of us do not swim. The reason? Fear of drowning. Another friend of mine who would not ride up an elevator because she's afraid. At some point, she might have taken one of those elevators and gotten stuck in a lift, and there must have been all these fearful thoughts that came to her mind. I remember this person coming up to see me on 27th floor, and she walked up the stairs to see me on 27th floor. Now, it took her a long time, and she wasn't a young person. So this person, who must be in her middle 50s, for her to walk up 27 floors to come and see me every day, a couple of times a day, it's all because the fear held her back. Fear is the main source of superstition. To conquer fear is the beginning of wisdom. Let us look at some of the most important fears, the most dominant fears in our society today. The biggest fears that we have are fears of judgment, fears of rejection, fears of comparison, and fears of failure. All these four fears are basically cripple us. They're basically walls that we have built. Let's look at comparison. The minute you compare yourself with others, that is where you will stop your progress. Deep down, all of us know exactly where we want to reach. And if you start comparing yourself to others, that's where you will see it's like a speed breaker. Comparison will stop you getting to your destination. The other thing is judgment. It's not right for people to judge others, right? We all need to look at our own selves. We all need to understand where we are coming from. One of the things I learned early on in life is speaking out. Speaking out what I feel, doing the thing my mind and my heart desires. Making these videos is speaking out. I mean, I knew there will be people, I knew that I'll be judged. So if you're afraid of people judging you, of everything you're going to do, I mean, that's a very big fear. Failure. Action cures fear. Inaction creates terror. There's only one thing that holds us back to achieve the dream that we have conceived, and that is the fear of failure. Whether it's a failure in your business, whether it's a failure in your career, whether it's a failure in anything you do, failure is a stepping stone. It's like a step. It's like a step to your progress. Failure is nothing but God giving you direction, telling you, hey, listen, I'm just telling you midway that, the path that you're taking, you need to make a slight diversion, make a slight change. So that's why we fail. We need to make our goals, and we need to keep our goals in mind. We need to keep our focus in mind and not worry about failures. Become aware of those fears. and see if those fears are what are stopping you. So I'm not sure if any of you have seen the movie Karate Kid. You know, you've seen how fearful that kid is in the movie. What does his coach do? His coach just teaches him to look beyond the failure, look beyond the fear, have belief in himself. If you have not seen the movie, I suggest that you go and see the movie, how this coach was able to change the state of mind and face the people who were hurting him very badly. It's very important to let your child fall and learn. We all learn from a mistake. Unless he makes a mistake and realizes that he made a mistake and corrects his mistake, he's not going to improve. And then he's going to have this fear. So you do not want to bombard your child constantly with fearful thoughts. Let me give you a couple of other examples of fear. 9/11, one Osama bin Laden. Because of him now, all of us have got so much security. Every place has got security. You know, you cannot go into a metro. You cannot even go into a theater. You cannot even go into any public places in India unless there is security. When we grew up, there was no such security. Nowadays, to take a plane, it takes you 2 hours of security just to go through. Earlier, you could just go and walk into a plane and it was much more easier. Let's see, how do we get rid of those fears? Well, they say, you know, fears probably remain with us all the time, but the power can be considerably reduced. I don't think you could ever reach a stage where you're completely fearless. It is what you need to do is identify your fears. Identify what's holding you back. Identify why you're anxious. Go back in your brain and see what's happening within yourself. Try to scale up that fear. Try to give it a number. Let's say, you know, you scale them between 1 to 10. 10 being the most fearful and 1 being the least. So would you say the fear is a 5? Or would you say the fear that you're facing right now is a 7? Observe the fear. Observe what's happening to your mind. Observe why it's happening. And talk to someone. Talking to someone is very important. Opening out to someone who you think can guide you, can give you proper guidance is very important. Once if you have a knowledge of fear, you can address it better. Do not stop the anxiety. Do not try to fight it. Let it flow on your mind. Just observe it. Just let it see. And once when you see it, then you deep down, you will understand why it's happening. You would have gotten more handle on it. One of the things that can really work to address those fears are meditation. Basically, what does a meditation do? Meditation calms you down. You know what happens when you fear, right? Your thought process gets faster. I mean, you're continuously thinking. You keep getting bombarded in your brain. Then your heart breathes faster. You take a lot more breaths during that time because you're very anxious, because you're very fearful. What you need to do is learn the technique of 7-11. What is a 7-11? A 7 is you breathe in slowly, you watch your breath, you take 7 seconds to breathe in, but when you breathe out slowly. You take 11 seconds to breathe out. So, what is it doing to you? When you're breathing out slowly, the power of the fear diminishes. You're getting a chance to think more. So, it's calming your mind down. Your mind, with these breathing exercises, you stop to have your mind playing games on you. You understand that the mind is just deceiving you. You need to be more grateful. You need to be more thankful. You need to look at all the good that you have in life. Look at the positives. Do not look at the negatives. Look at all that's going well in your life. You need to learn to appreciate what God has given you. Prayers help us. You need to pray. Prayer automatically calms you down. The most important is doing the things you fear. It takes away that illusion. Once you do the things you fear, I remember doing these videos. I mean, the first time I was in front of a camera, I was, I was scared. I don't know how I'm going to react, how the camera works, how people are going to look at it, right? As I make more and more of these videos, hopefully the fear of being in front of the camera and talking to you would be less, and hopefully I will make better and better videos. Learn to overcome your fears, and you see the quality of your life improve. With time, those fears the power of those fears will keep diminishing. You need to do the things you fear for the fear to disappear. It's very important. Finding the courage to face your fears is a life-changing decision. Doing the things you fear will help you change your destiny. Your destiny depends upon how bold you are, how you address your fears, and what actions you take to address those fears. You are going to be your movement, your actions, your thoughts. Everything depends upon the fears that are already established in your mind. Finding the courage to face some of those fears is a very important decision you will make in your life. The impact of fear on a brain, you have no idea how powerful it is. Oh my God, it completely changes the way we process information. If any of you can remember how you took decisions in a fearful thing, oh my God, you're scared, you don't know what the hell, how to process that information. You are completely paralyzed, you're nervous. So the impact is so powerful that people do not make proper decisions. A lot of us take refuge in the wrong things. People start, you know how people have become drug addicts, how people have become alcoholics. Fear had a lot to do with them. Fear is one emotion that can drive you into bad habits. You may be where you are because you have not addressed those thoughts, you have not addressed those fears. If you need to progress and if you need to move forward in life, go back and analyze some of those fears. Go back and see how you behave the way you behave. What are some of the fears? I'm sure many of us have fears that are holding you back today, right? There are so many fears. We all have fears that we need to go back and see what's holding it. I don't think all of us, no matter what stage of your life you are in, no matter how rich, how poor, how powerful, even the presidents, even the prime ministers, the military generals with all the artillery and machines and everything, they still have the fears. What you need to do, address that emotion. There'll always be people who will belittle what your achievements are. There'll always be people trying to pull you down. The moment you fear the opinion of others, and that's when you will really stop saying the truth. That's when you will stop being yourself. You need to just discount what people think about you. There are always people in all stages of your life, whether you are in class, whether you're a student, whether you're a businessman, there's always going to be your competition trying to put you down. There'll always be, someone, even your friend whom you think is your best friend is going to try to pull you down. There's always like a competition. So the moment you start to worry about the opinion, the moment you fear the opinion of others, that's when you will stop growing. You need to move on and not worry about those fears. You need to get away from others' opinion. Once again, thank you all for giving me your time and spending with us. There are few grateful moments. I wish I could have met you face to face. I wish we could have sat in a group, and I wish I could have talked to you as a group and give you, and I could hear you and you could hear me. But hopefully one day we'll be able to achieve that. I look forward to seeing you one day. But let's for now look forward to seeing you in one of our other videos of Human Manual. Thank you.
If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let us know what you think of it in the comments below. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. Thank you.